All right, let's talk Notre Dame Fighting Irish football. Obviously, the first playoff game, just a few short days away. But Notre Dame, like all smart programs, like all quality programs, while focusing on the here and now, always keep an eye towards the future. And to that end, Notre Dame has recently pulled off a huge move that's kind of slid under the radar a little bit. I think it's great news for the Fighting Irish. But first, I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Notre Dame, of course, is preparing for maybe the biggest home game in Notre Dame history, the playoff against the Indiana football team coming into town. It's going to be an interesting game, a lot of different matchups. Notre Dame is a slight favorite right now, but while all eyes are focused on the college football playoff, the Fighting Irish have recently made one of the best moves so far this offseason to upgrade their roster. Let's pull up this report courtesy of SI.com. Notre Dame football is making a key addition in the transfer portal as former Alabama starting defensive back DeVonta Smith is reportedly headed to the Fighting Irish. Smith will have 1 year of eligibility remaining and comes to Notre Dame after starting 11 games for Alabama this past season. In those, he was a strong defender, as according to Pro Football Focus, great analytics website for those of you who aren't familiar. He allowed just 123 total yards on 29 targets and no touchdowns. Smith is coming off a breakout year with the Crimson Tide, where he totaled 30 tackles with 1 tackle for loss, 5 passes defended, and a forced fumble. Obviously, this is a great addition for Notre Dame, heading into a chance to win a national title this season, but they're also focused on making another run next year. Love to see it. Mize, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this, but first, Fighting Irish fans, in the comment section below, like I mentioned a second ago, you're a slight favorite, roughly a touchdown at home against Indiana. Give us your prediction, final score, this big playoff game. In my opinion, the biggest home game in Notre Dame history, potentially. Let us know your prediction, final score, Indiana, Notre Dame, in the comment section below. But Mize, give me your thoughts on this latest Notre Dame Fighting Irish news.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is just ridiculous what Notre Dame has done in the transfer portal. First off, the get of this defensive back from Alabama is going to be big for them. I think DeVonta Smith is a great player. It seems he's on the up and up, having a breakout year with the Crimson Tide. To be able to pull away a top-tier player that is just getting better, like really just had his big year with the Crimson Tide, and able to get him over to your program, that's really, really big. But there's something else really big. And this is liable to change, but I think even to this point for Notre Dame, it is extremely impressive that they have had absolutely 0 players leave in the transfer portal at the time of filming this video. I think that's really big for the Fighting Irish as well, because not only did they have a pretty solid recruiting class, not only did they get some great players in the transfer portal early on so far, but they have not lost anybody. And they may lose 1 or 2 guys down the stretch, but just shows that there's a lot of belief in this Notre Dame team through the players here. There was not a mass exodus. You look at a team like Alabama, for instance. There's been a ton of guys just hit the portal, just get out of there. You see like teams like LSU, guys just leaving through the portal left, right, and center, and these teams are scrambling to fill those roster spots, get that team built back up. A team like Notre Dame, we all see it. We all know they're in the college football playoff. Is a really solid program. With these new transfer portal additions, they are just getting better. They're not one of those teams scrambling around trying to fill holes on the roster because they've had this mass exodus of players leave their roster. They're actually getting better with these additions, and I think that's really big for Notre Dame to be able to have such a big year, not lose so many guys, and be able to keep building for the future and getting stronger through these additions. So I think overall, Coach Freeman and co, they've done a really solid job with the culture they build around this team. I think there's a lot of belief that there's a really strong forward momentum on this Notre Dame team.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. And before anyone goes ahead and comments, like, well, they're in the playoff. There are playoff teams that are losing guys to the transfer portal. Penn State, of course, had a lot of notoriety recently. Their backup quarterback, who has played a decent amount for Penn State this season, he decided to transfer out, right? So there are a lot of key depth pieces, especially, that are considering transferring out of these playoff programs. And some, like the Penn State quarterback I just mentioned, the backup quarterback, already have. So again, credit to Notre Dame. We haven't seen any of that happen yet with the Fighting Irish. But I want to talk about what the shift we're seeing in college football is. And we're seeing a very massive vibe shift. Back up 5 years ago, would you consider a football player, a starter who had a really good season, leave the University of Alabama to go to Notre Dame to chase a title their last year in college football? No, right? It would, if anything, it would be the other way around. It would be a player leaving to go to Alabama to chase a title. This is the shift we've seen this season with the Fighting Irish. Obviously, a big part of that is Alabama taking a step back now that Nick Saban is gone. But a lot of credit has to be given to Coach Freeman because players see what they've done on the field. They've been absolutely obliterating people. The Northern Illinois debacle completely aside, they've been the most consistent, dominant team in college football week in and week out across the board. Offense, defense, special teams, run game, pass game, no matter what you look at it. Notre Dame has been outstanding. Well-coached, exciting, fun team, history. We are seeing potentially the return of peak Notre Dame with what Coach Freeman is doing. And it's so interesting to me that no one is talking about it right now in terms of the program Freeman is building here with the recruiting class, like you mentioned, with keeping the talent, developing the talent, and now the transfer portals as well from programs like SEC schools like Alabama to come to the Fighting Irish to chase a title. We're seeing a program in Notre Dame that is now a developmental program, is now a recruiting powerhouse, X's and O's, and then transfers. No matter where you look at it, Notre Dame is winning major college football. They're in a great position to win a title this season. Exciting game, of course, coming up against Indiana to get to the next round. But no matter what you think about this Fighting Irish program, love them or hate them, they are going to be a juggernaut for years to come.